By the way, since we're on the topic, let's just do the LCS stuff first. Because what's funny is, since we've already teased the big topics, we'll get into Cloud9 and Egypt. One angle that I actually thought went totally undervalued. Monte, I'm getting sick of people not even being it's so whack. You know, when people think they can join in, like, I'm going to repeat a narrative and I'm joining in. This is my narrative. No. You know how you know who authors the narrative? Because he's looking ahead and thinking, what would come next? What would happen if this happened? And how would that narrative change? And I'm always able to get ahead of that, believe it or not. It's actually one of the reasons sometimes I make crazy guesses as to how things will go. So what I can't believe they didn't even prep for. Dude, how was the finals not about this? First of all, I would have gone with the whole Jensen was kicked out. All those, that's the most obvious one. He's got revenge, but is he going to win? But even better, for 100 Thieves, your whole narrative is this. The dynasty is about to be formed. The Papa Smithy fucking like reality got like, well, it could be anything Papa wants it to be now. Like that was about to happen. He'd have made 3 finals in a row, and this would have been like 2 titles, all with the same 5 players, by the way. That's so incredibly rare. This actually, just like EG's revolutionized certain things about rookies, this would have revolutionized what general managing means, what the entire region's about, quite frankly. Now look, it's not like none of that's true because they lost the final, but I can't believe this wasn't even teed up. Dude, could you imagine like an NFL Super Bowl where the reigning champions are there and you're like, I won't bother teeing this up as like a dynasty or anything. I'll just see what happens in the game. Like they'd be all about that. They'd ram that down your throat.
Also, here's one. So spoilers. I didn't actually watch any of the pre-show stuff besides like the player intros because my internet is so garbage here that wasn't possible. But here's a question for you, Thorin. Did they tee up the Reapered versus Cloud9? Like,
I didn't see much of that. But as far as I know, everyone told me that wasn't even a factor. That, they didn't even, they forgot Reapered was with Cloud9. Joke, by the way, as an aside, we'll get to this later. But my joke even was, I even said it on Twitter because I'm a dick, right? If you're Jensen, remember that story? He told it on like, I can't remember, I think it was maybe on like the Crackdown night with Dom or something. He told the story, which not all the people didn't know, which is that they weren't just subbed in and out. Dude, when they made the finals, like fucking Reaper just like subbed in like golden glue and like contracts for a game or something mental, something like that, or Svenskera. He subbed in those players and played some like insane comp that they never, I can't remember the order, maybe it's Jensen who went to, but he made them play some comp they like never even wanted to do anything and just blew a finals game. So my joke was like, I wonder why he hasn't just subbed golden glue. Now like that was a real thing. That there had to be some connection there, I agree, but I don't think they actually teased that up at all, as far as I know.
I mean, I just think it's outrageous that you could have Reapered, the former coach of Cloud9, and then because remember he left Cloud9 and then was just sitting there for a split before he got picked up by 100 Thieves, and then he's been part of the catalyst that has gotten Reapered was part of the catalyst that has gotten them the success again. Like that's like I would just interview Reapered like. What the fuck? That's an amazing story. Yes. Like maybe he wants some revenge on Cloud9. Like, I don't know. It's a fun narrative to go with. And especially somebody who is you could make an argument that Reapered is the all-time great LCS coach. Like that's
mega.
Yeah, that's an argument you can.
I always used to say, if you do the thing of like, you obviously have to count the regular season as well. Dude, I think he is the best regular season coach ever. Look at how his teams always are the elite teams. They always get like the double-digit wins. Look, he might not win every playoffs. He's in there every semi-final. Mate, this guy actually has an unbelievable like his floor is ridiculous for a coach.
Here's another one. Mithy's a coach of 100 Thieves now. Where was the Mithy versus Sven segment? Where was Mithy commenting on Sven's support play? What the fuck is that? Like,
by the way, I've got an angle for you because I don't know if you know this, but in classic pulp comic books of like the Golden Age, and Alan Moore likes to do this actually a lot of stuff like Promethea and Tom Strong or whatever. What he'll do is each chapter, so each issue has sort of like a witty way to say what happens. Like it's not just like Tom goes on an adventure. It's like, a star is born, a universe collapses, and a new sun is seen. And you're like, oh, how's this going to? What metaphor is he weaving here? Right? How's that? So here's what I would say. This is how I would label this particular final of Cloud9 against 100 Thieves. It would basically be named after one of my favorite PC games, System Shock 2. See that? There you go. That's a freebie for you. I give you that one.
I wonder how many of our fans have actually played that game. It was a great game, though. Really good.
Banger.
All-time great game. There were big wins in terms of the production when it came to bringing out old players. But again, it's like, can we please focus on some of these new narratives? Like the fact that Reaper and Mithy are coaches of 100 Thieves who also used to be coaches of C9 is interesting. The fact that Sven and Mithy used to play together and Sven has switched to Mithy's role and we don't see these narratives is great. Like, it's such low-hanging fruit. Why can't they grab the fucking fruit? They're like Tantalus, and the branch is just like kind of going out of reach. Except the joke is they're also the branch pulling it out of their own reach. So
yeah, it's just like what Riot's like this. Riot's a really tight shot, and it's like a branch they can't quite reach. When you pull out, it's their own arm pulling it back. Like, I can't get it. I wish I could get it for you. Oh shit! Can you see that shit? Like, oh, you know, right. Here's the thing, by the way, on that angle as well. Even though it was pure banter, and obviously he means he plays with a berserker and blabber and stuff. What I love about Sven, because you're going to miss this, you're all going to think it was hilarious when he made that light-hearted joke about how all he did as support was like press E on Lulu and go, wow, go for it, guys. Whoa, shit, what are you doing? Like, as though that's all you do. But here's the thing you actually all missed. That's the true ADC arrogance. To think that, yeah, all you do is stand by me in a team fight and press E on me, you fuck. I carry the game. That is exactly what you want your ADC to think. I love that, like, even though he went to support, he just refuses to be broken. He just refuses to yield. I love it. I fucking love that shit. And also, spoiler, the other person, you're all going to think, this is a reach. How are they getting flamed? They were nowhere near the finals. It's TSM. Because here's what's mental. TSM could have had Jensen. Also, TSM used to have Sven. Sven left TSM. You know, he's won 3 championships since then. 3! One of them's at support. Mate, they have the craziest record of letting players go and them just getting better afterwards, isn't it? Like, Reggie really was just like, just, I don't know what he's doing. It's like it's like those sci-fi movies where he had some sort of like neck collar on them that like gives them the shock or something. Like, oh, it's inhibiting my powers. Like, yes, you'll never escape from my domain. Like, what the? Why did they leave and get better, mate? What's going on? And spoiler, I know they did have doublelifting and they won that championship. Beyond that, though, the ADC position has been pretty bad. The joke now is TSM fans wistfully dream of a world where they're in a final and the ADC ease into a fucking bush. You know what I mean? They're not going to be in one for a while, are they?
I think in retrospect, we can say that Bjergsen was really the GM. Like, he was just a talent magnet. People were like, I get to play with Bjergsen. I'll do anything for that. Wow, TSM is really popular. But in terms of the actual performance of these rosters once they have them, it's very clear that this team was, you know, not doing too hot from the inside. Whereas, as you're saying, Cloud9 just seems to have an embarrassment of riches. It's like all these players they bring up, just kick out the season MVP, get this blabber guy in there and say, he's the MVP now. You can joke about the C9 systems all you want, but remember when I tweeted earlier this year that I didn't even have an opinion about it. I just said, hey, Cloud9 has a way they like to do things. They have these systems in place. Here's the way they like to run their practices. Here's the way they require, their players to work out. They have a schedule that they have to abide by. There are certain team meetings that everybody has to go to. Jack likes to do things a certain way. Everybody's like, well, why hire LS then? Well, we don't know if LS agreed to do these, or like there was some meeting in the middle. Clearly something wasn't working there. That's fine. Shit happens, right? But everybody's like, haha, the systems. Where are you motherfuckers now? They just won a title. They didn't even look good for most of the split. Oh. They made moves. They role swapped a guy, then role swapped him back, brought Jensen into this lineup, and then role swapped another guy to support. Clearly they're doing something right. Like, how many times do they have to win or do well at half the budget of the big team, in the most paid team in the league, and then keep on winning, keep on doing well at Worlds, make semifinals at Worlds is the only NA team that's ever done that. Been the team that makes it into quarterfinals the most times. They don't collapse internationally. They're doing something right, guys. Clearly.
Also, there's an obvious angle as well in that final. The prodigal son, you know that one from the Bible? He went away and tried to seek his riches elsewhere. Now he's back. You welcome him in, though. You embrace him again. You get the fatted calf out.
And he gets his first C9 title. When we look at the finals, though, it was just... Look, I didn't have a lot of faith after seeing 100 Thieves almost lose to EG once EG got a meta AD carry. Yep. Berserker was extremely good throughout these playoffs. He's clearly a level above. ADC is such an incredibly important role at the current time, can absolutely hard carry. But there were other things that I thought were very encouraging. Like, I love the fact that Fudge puts his dick out there and wants to play carry top laners. Jensen, he doesn't roam very much. He's not like, he lanes okay, better than he did during the regular season. He's still like pretty good in team fights, but his laning phase and his map pressure are kind of lackluster. But it doesn't matter if you just get to
his first split back as well.
Well, you also just get to play old Clockman for free with no punishment, and then just press R on somebody in the late game and let Berserker or Blabber or Fudge carry these fights on these
By the way,
Jax or Zeri or another hyper carry, right?
This is one thing I was talking about on my watch party because I can't handle it, mate. Think about this for a second. I've always said in the past, it was on Big Brains, actually, on my channel. I've always said in the past, I used to actually fight against the logic that all the EU fans would tell me, because EU would always generally outplace NA. I would always say, like, it doesn't mean that, like, all NA players and teams suck. Like, they're all bad. They just have things like different training methods, different amounts of money, different incentives, different concepts of, like, what's acceptable in discussion. All these other factors can potentially affect it, and less players, blah, blah. But I always used to say, if you have a look at the elite players in the region, like in the main 3 carry roles, etc., you'll always see people who are really good. Like, you'll see Bjergsen will have, like, a banging Syndra. Like, that could go head-to-head with a lot of, like, Asian players. You'll see, like, a top player that maybe he could actually stand up to some of these guys. You'll obviously see, like, a double lift, and you'll go, this guy could actually beat most Asian ADCs if he got the right one. So mainly in the past, in my opinion, it was things like the other players around them, the role players, or it was stylistic elements, like why do you just team fight? Why do you only ever go to NA RAM? But now, Monte, there is actually a way I can show you that the LCS is impossibly behind all the other major regions, right? How can there be a world where if you just play Gwen, Seraphine, or Zilean, nobody understands your ult, no matter how many times they play you? They just walk into the Seraphine and Gwen ults and get their shit pushed in, and Zilean, they chase him like they don't understand he can come back to life. They really blow everything. It was like watching, look, the only time that was comparable, wasn't a failure in the meta, was watching those Soraka games in LEC, which, like, they kept forgetting, like, it's going to give all the health back. So it was like, mate, these 3 champions, they're a joke. Like, Gwen will be played. The other 2 will never be played in international play at the Worlds. I don't think you'll see it from top teams.
I think that's a huge problem, and part of the problem is that NA teams are not very good about flanking or setting up for these team fights, which makes Seraph, if you are committing to basically ramming from one direction into each other over and over again and playing front to back team fights in every fucking team fight, well, guess what's going to be good? The Seraphine ult that hits 4 people, which wouldn't happen against a team that knows how to position versus Seraphine. Also, Seraphine would just get towered over and die. If you have a Zilean and you're just putting a one player out there and then they're able to revive and come back into this fight, well, there you go. There's going to be your advantage, but you're not getting punished in lane. Maybe target selection is not very disciplined from the team that you're playing in, so they can't stop DPS, or maybe they have a bunch of single target champions, so they're not actually providing a lot of other damage to the rest of the team. But these are really big issues that are going to come to Worlds. I mean, even if you look at EG's performance, now part of this might have been that players on EG felt like they had to make the big play because they were in a position where they had this new AD carry. But if you look at that, if you look at the way Jojo was playing Ahri, he would be like dashing through the front line on Ahri, trying to kill the back line instead of finding a good flank angle and then dying. And again, maybe that was just him saying like, well, somebody's got to do something, so here's what we're going to do. But a lot of the Asian teams, the Chinese and Korean teams, are going to hit you from 2 to 3 sides at the same time. They're going to have vision control that allows them to do that. They're going to be able to collapse all simultaneously perfectly around you. And then these picks are just not going to have any value. So it doesn't, the way that NA was won doesn't inspire you with great hope. And the way
that if you are Azael, then technically it does for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, until you see the groups, until you realize.
Oh, spoiler, right? Mate, there's another one I can't handle. The bad take after bad take. Mate, it was like watching a Double Lift podcast. Because, mate, you know when the fans looked at that group that 100 Thieves were in, and they were making the meme, they're so 200 IQ, they intentionally lost to get a better group. Their group, go and look at it, Monte.
I'm looking at it.
Who's in their group? Tell me.
The PCS #1 team, Gen G, 100 Thieves. Okay. But the problem is that RNG is most likely going to end up in that group.
So you mean they could end up in a scenario, Monte, where the reigning MSI champions are in their group and the best team in the world? Spoiler, you don't get out of that. How's that good? That's worse. Like, the joke is, even though some of the others have, like, you know, more dangerous teams all over, it's like for example, Rogues looks dangerous until you realise, they actually had a chance here. You know, they can win like a BO1 over DRX. So you know what I mean? Like, if you put it like that, suddenly, that's actually not a good group. You guys, you nephews have got to fucking level your takes up. You all hate Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless would murk you for takes, mate. At least he has they're funny, they're interesting, they'll come with a take. You're just like, whatever doesn't make sense, I'll probably stays right. Like, give me a break. Come on. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.